Right now, the world is standing on the edge of a geopolitical cliff that is about to drop a bomb directly into your bank account. The handcuffs snapping shut on Nicolas Maduro isn't just a headline about a falling dictator, it is a seismic event for the global economy. While the media focuses on the protests in Caracas, the real story is happening in the oil pits of London and the server rooms of Wall Street. You are looking at the potential liberation of the world's largest oil reserves, over 300 billion barrels of crude that have been locked away for decades. This event will trigger a chain reaction that affects the price of the gas in your car, the cost of the bread on your table, and the value of the currency in your pocket. In this deep dive, we are going to strip away the political noise and look at the cold, hard math of how the arrest of one man will fundamentally change your cost of living. We are tracking the money from the Orinoco Belt to your local supermarket. This is the breakdown of the Maduro collapse and your financial survival guide. Venezuela is not just another country, it is a sleeping giant that has been in a coma. For years, the Maduro premium has been baked into global oil prices, a hidden tax everyone pays because the world's largest supply was mismanaged and sanctioned. The moment he is removed from the equation, the market enters a state of high-velocity panic. Markets hate a vacuum. In the first 48 hours, we will see fear spikes on the charts. Traders will bet on civil war, leading to a temporary surge in energy costs. But behind that smoke, a gold rush is forming. If a pro-Western transition begins, we are looking at the biggest infrastructure project of the century. Global giants like Chevron and Exxon are already waiting at the border with billions of dollars. The question for you is, will this influx of oil crash the market and save you money, or will the resulting chaos trigger a global recession that takes your job with it? The connection between Caracas and your wallet is found in heavy crude. Most people don't realize that the world runs on diesel, and you need Venezuelan-grade oil to make it efficiently. Diesel moves the trucks that stock your stores. If the arrest leads to a stable transition, the cracking spread drops, and suddenly the inflationary pressure that has been strangling the middle class for years begins to evaporate. You could see a permanent reduction in your annual expenses by thousands of dollars. However, this transition is a minefield. Venezuela owes massive debts to Russia and China. If a new government defaults on these dictator debts, we could see a diplomatic freeze that disrupts global trade routes far beyond the Caribbean. Your cheap gas might come at the cost of a new Cold War. Wait, before you assume your savings are safe, look at the history of regime change. Every time a major oil power falls, the shadow economy takes a massive bite out of the global dollar. If you aren't holding the right assets when the news breaks, you are essentially watching your purchasing power melt away while you sleep. Are you ready for the flip? As we move deeper into the fallout, we have to talk about the reconstruction trade. When a regime like Maduro's collapses, the IMF and World Bank move in with hundreds of billions in loans. This is where the smart money creates generational wealth. We are talking about Venezuelan bonds that are currently trading for pennies on the dollar, suddenly becoming the most wanted asset on earth. But for the average person, the risk is the strong dollar trap. If the US dollar surges because it has successfully reclaimed its influence over the world's oil supply, it makes American exports more expensive. If you work for a company that sells products overseas, your company's profits could take a hit, leading to layoffs. It's a paradox. The news that makes your gas cheaper might be the same news that makes your job less secure. Furthermore, we have to address the BRICS factor. Maduro was a cornerstone of the movement to de-dollarize the global economy. His arrest is a massive victory for the petrodollar. This means the U.S. government can continue to print money with fewer immediate consequences, but it also increases the tension with the East. If China feels backed into a corner because they lost their South American foothold, they may accelerate their sell-off of U.S. treasuries. This would send interest rates through the roof. Think about your mortgage, your credit card debt, and your car loans. A spike in interest rates triggered by a Venezuelan power vacuum could cost the average family an extra $500 a month in interest payments alone. This is how a political arrest in a different hemisphere ends up as a line item on your monthly bank statement. Stop, this isn't just about oil anymore. We are looking at a supply shock that hasn't been seen since the 1970s. Mainstream media is telling you one thing, but the bond market is screaming another. If you don't understand the Maduro domino effect right now, your retirement fund could be the next thing to collapse. Do you see the pattern yet? Now, let's look at the migration tax. Over 7 million people have fled Venezuela under Maduro, creating a massive strain on the social systems of the US, Colombia, and Europe. This has led to increased taxes and diverted government spending in your own backyard. A post-Maduro Venezuela means return migration. As people go back to rebuild their home, the pressure on housing markets and social services in the West will ease. This could lead to a cooling of rent prices in major cities and a reduction in the tax burden used to manage the border crisis. It is the hidden peace dividend of a regime change. You won't see this in a direct check, but you will feel it in the stabilization of your local economy and the slowing of property tax hikes. However, the rebuild phase will take decades. The electrical grid in Venezuela is a ghost of what it used to be. To fix it, the world will need massive amounts of copper, steel, and lithium. This will drive up the price of raw materials globally. So while your gas gets cheaper, the cost of building a new house or buying a new electric car might actually go up. You are witnessing a massive reallocation of global resources. The arrest of Maduro is the starting gun for a global commodity cycle that will define the 2030s. If you are invested in old energy, you might be in trouble. If you are positioned in reconstruction materials, you are looking at a gold mine. Warning, the volatility you are seeing is just the tip of the iceberg. There is a secret correlation between the stability of Caracas and the price of the tech stocks in your 401k. When the oil king falls, the ripple effect hits Silicon Valley harder than you think. Are you hedged against the coming tech sector correction? The final piece of the puzzle is the energy transition. Many believe that oil is the past, but the Maduro arrest proves it is still the king of the present. If Venezuela opens up, it could actually slow down the shift to green energy because fossil fuels will become artificially cheap again. This creates a massive political battle. Will the West allow Venezuela to flood the market with dirty oil to lower inflation, or will they impose green sanctions on the new government? Your investment strategy depends entirely on this answer. If the world chooses cheap oil over green mandates, EV stocks will crater and traditional energy will stay dominant for another 30 years. You need a plan. When the news of the arrest breaks, do not panic sell. The initial market dip is a trap for retail investors. The big money will be buying the dip while the headlines scream about chaos. Keep an eye on the 10-year Treasury yield. It will tell you the truth about where the dollar is going. The arrest of Nicolas Maduro is a turning point in history, a moment when the gears of the world economy shift. Those who understand the flow of oil and the mechanics of debt will come out of this wealthier. Those who only watch the news for the drama will be the ones paying for it. The clock is ticking and the board is set. The fall of a dictator is the rise of a new economic era. If you want to stay ahead of the curve and protect your family's future, you need to look past the handcuffs and start looking at the spreadsheets. The world is changing. Make sure you're the one holding the map.